Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Araneta City's World Heart Day celebration. I am Bruce Lim, and today I will be teaching you how to cook nutritious meals that are not only good for the heart, but also delicious for the stomach.
As you all know, today we join the world in celebrating World Heart Day in order to raise awareness for heart health and maintenance. A vital part of keeping a healthy heart is having a well-balanced diet. I'm glad to share with you today a way of cooking one of these delicious recipes that anyone can recreate at home with the help of Clara Ole. Today, I will be making grilled salmon with tofu.
All right, let's get started. I'm going to marinate my fish first. I'll just grab it by cutting it up. So I have here salmon. I like it because it has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, which is good for the heart. And we're going to portion it into pieces that is perfect for the plate. I would say about 200 grams is good. So I'm going to cut it right down the middle. And what I like to do is I like to trim off the bloodline. You can leave it on, but sometimes it has a fishy taste to it. Now I'm going to cut this into 3. Okay. I'll do the same thing with the other side. Cut that into nice pieces. And I'm lucky, this fish doesn't have any pin bones, but salmon does have pin bones, so you just have to run your finger across. If you feel it, just pull it out. Okay. So I have here some coriander seed that we ground up, and I like the citrusy note that it gives to the salmon, so I'm just going to sprinkle it on the plate. I'll add some cracked black pepper. Layer the fish onto the spices. Give this a nice dusting as well. And I chose to use Korean barbecue marinade. It has enough sweetness and saltiness of soy that it will give a nice kick and flavor profile to the dish. Okay, oops, just put that there and just rub it. You want to rub everything in. So you get the flavor of the coriander, you get the flavor of the pepper, and of course you get the flavor of the marinade. So to this, I like to add a little bit of canola oil. This will help it from preventing sticking on the grill pan. Okay. So we can let this sit for about 10 minutes while we get the rest of the ingredients ready, and this will be nicely seasoned and ready for the grill.
All right, so we have our salmon marinating. Now I'll get our aromatics chopped up for the tofu. So normally, when you do tofu, you need to find ways to increase the flavor profile of the tofu. It's pretty bland, so you want to add flavors that will kind of kick it up a notch. For this, we don't need to peel the ginger because this will be a poaching liquid for the tofu. We're just going to cut it up into big pieces. I have here some garlic that I'm just going to cut right in half. So we have nice garlic and tofu ready, or garlic and ginger ready for our tofu. And that's good. I have some soft tofu here that I'm going to cut up. And the best way to do it is kind of eyeball it, kind of cut it straight in the middle. Come straight down, turn, then cut it down again. And then you pop it back into the container so it holds its shape. Set it aside until you're ready to use it. Wipe down your board and your knife. We're going to add some leeks to the liquid as well, the poaching liquid. Make sure it's nice and free of sand. And you don't want to cut it too fine. You just want it big enough where it'll extract the flavors and it'll go into the tofu. Because if it's too small, it'll be hard and sometimes it sticks to the tofu and it'll give you a really bad presentation. Okay, so this is good. I'm going to get my pot on the water, or my pot of water on, bring it up to heat so I can go ahead and drop my tofu in. Then I'm going to get the rest of my ingredients nice and chopped so we can get everything started. Right, so this is at a slow simmer. What I'll do is turn down the heat and transfer it to the other burner so it can go low and slow for about 15 minutes. We want it to steep. We want the flavors to come out in the liquid so that it has a really nice, strong flavor profile. If you noticed, I haven't seasoned this yet. I'll taste it a little bit later on to see if it needs some seasoning or not. Now what I'll do is I will get the rest of my ingredients ready. So I have here bok choy that I'll cut up my tomatoes, and I'll make my orange vinaigrette. So we have here some Taiwan pet chai, or bok choy as well. And we're just going to cut them in half, or we'll take off the bottom part that's a bit brown. We'll cut them about that size. So we really want it to be kind of nice and a good mouthful. Now, if they're big like this, you can cut them into 3 or 4. And you want about maybe 3 to 4 pieces per person. I would say 3. Right, so my bok choy is ready to get sauteed. I'll get a little bit of ginger. Best way to peel ginger is with a spoon. And when you're peeling ginger with a spoon, face the spoon down towards the ginger. If you have it facing up, sometimes you'll get squirt in the eye with ginger juice, and it does sting. All right. And I like really thin strips of ginger. This will go nicely with the dish, with the bok choy. Okay. I have here some cherry tomatoes, and I have some yellow Latin tomatoes. So if they're big, you can cut them in half. But if they're tiny like this, I like leaving them whole. Just make sure you pre-wash everything before you start cooking. All right, that looks good. So I have my tomatoes ready for the saute pan. I have my ginger ready for the pad chai or for the bok choy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my orange vinaigrette. So it just takes 1.5 orange juice or juice of 1.5 oranges, a little bit of vinegar, some olive oil, and you're pretty much set. Orange zest. So the best way to do this is just kind of roll it on the board until you feel it nice and soft. Try not to push it too hard that you're going to break through the skin. You just want to break up all the membranes inside the orange so that it gives its juice a whole lot easier. So now it's nice and pliable. This would be hard. We're going to do the same thing with this. And orange juice, or orange in general, with the Korean barbecue marinade from Clara Ole is just fantastic. Right, nice and pliable. I'll get myself a bowl. Okay, so we're just going to cut into it. And you can see the juice is just really wanting to come out. I'll just grab a fork. And I'm lucky I can get a strainer here. So I'll get a strainer real quick. This orange is kind of dry, so I ended up using 2 whole oranges. Always clean your workstation. All right, grab a strainer. And I need another bowl. Strain everything into that one. Squish down any juice inside the pulp. And we're good. Okay. Let me taste this really quickly. Okay, it's nice and sweet. What I'll do is I'll add a little bit of vinegar to this. That's just distilled white vinegar. I'm going to add some olive oil. And I need some orange zest, and I just squeezed everything, but I can make it happen. We'll get some zest of the orange. Not too much. Now, if you don't have oranges, you can use calamansi. You can also use dayap if you wanted to. It's pretty much whatever you want to use. Citrus goes well with salmon. It's just fantastic. So I'm going to taste this really quickly. I need some pepper and some salt. All right. So we're going to go ahead and leave this here until we need it for the plating up. Perfect. All right, let's get cooking. I have here a nice grill pan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my salmon on it, so I'll wait for it to get nice and hot. And this pan can actually go into the oven, so I'm not worried. I'm going to cook it down on one side for about 2 minutes. I'll flip it over, pop it into about 120-degree oven, and let it sit there for about 5 minutes. It's okay if it's a bit medium rare or medium inside. It'll be nice. You don't really want to overcook salmon. So I'll get this ready. Now, since I put oil on the marinade ahead of time, I don't have to oil the pan because I don't want it to be sitting in oil. And I want that nice developed char flavor to come through. I don't really want to saute it. Although if you don't have a grill pan and if you have to cook it inside, sauteing would be okay. You can pan sear it, it's not a problem. So we're going to just wait a little bit longer until we can feel the heat through the pan. Clean up my workstation. We're going to get it nice and hot and wait for that sizzle. That's what we want to hear. So we're going to keep going.
That's the perfect sound. We know that flavor is being developed.
Give it 2 minutes on this side, flip it, and put it in the oven.
Now when you're grilling, make sure there's enough space in between the fish so that heat can flow through it and it cooks more evenly. That's what we're looking for. Into the oven.
All right, so that is in the oven now. We're going to go ahead and get all of our stir-fried vegetables ready because when that's done, we can grab up the salmon and we can start plating everything up. But first what I'll do is I'm going to drop my tofu into my simmering liquid so it gets nice and hot. But first we're going to season the liquid if we need to add salt or pepper. That's really nice, but it does need a bit of salt. Pepper, I don't think I need it because the ginger is nice and spicy, but fresh. So what I'll do is I'll drop in the tofu. And I want to simmer this. I don't want to boil it because I don't want to run the risk of breaking it up. Now, if one does break, don't worry, it's okay. It does happen, it's not the end of the world. Perfect. Okay. That's heating up nicely. I'll get a quick saute pan, and I'm going to start sauteing everything up. All right. All right, so my pan is nice and hot. I'm going to get a little bit of canola oil in this. I'm going to throw in my bok choy. At the same time, I'm going to add in my ginger. Now, the reason why I didn't add in the ginger first was, since it's nice and thin, it might burn. So at this rate, it cooks at the same time as the bok choy. Now, this looks a little dry to me, so I'm going to add a little bit of the cooking liquid of the tofu to kind of give it that steam. And that fell. To that, I'm going to add in the tomatoes. And right away, this smells so aromatic and fragrant. Add some salt and fresh cracked black pepper. All right, so these vegetables are nice and good. The tomatoes aren't broken, they're still whole. Perfect. So we just turn off the heat, set it aside, and we're going to get everything else ready for the plate up because we're pretty much done. Get everything I don't need anymore, pop that away. All right. My tofu looks good. I'll go ahead and grab the salmon out of the oven and I'll set it down so it can rest a little bit. And there we go. You could feel it. It's still slightly soft. That's okay. And if you see like white protein that's building on top of the salmon, most likely the salmon is overcooked. So you want to make sure that it still stays a little soft, but firm. And I always leave the towel on top so I know that this is a hot pan, because sometimes it does get a little chaotic and you forget. I'm going to turn off my tofu because it's ready. I have here just my basic serving plate. Then I'm going to start building everything. Okay. Move that out of the way so you can see. Check on my tofu. Let me just switch this a little bit. So I have here some kitchen towel. We're just going to prop the tofu on top of that. Now I'm probably going to use 3 per plate. But the most important thing is you always get extra just in case something breaks. Okay. Very gently lay the tofu onto your plate, however which way you like. Now again, plating is totally up to you. There's no wrong or right way of plating. You can do it however you want to plate. Or you can copy me. It's totally cool. That beauty. Just going to set it down right on top of that. And another one on top of the other tofu. Now by this time the bok choy is wilted down, but it's still nice, firm and crunchy. So you don't have to worry about it being too soft or overcooked. You can always pre-blanch the bok choy if you wanted to, if people don't like their vegetables crunchy or al dente. Add some tomatoes for a nice pop of freshness. And I just love the way the tomatoes look blistered, because you know it's going to be like soft and juicy inside. All right. Okay. And there you have it. An easy, delicious, but most of all, nutritious meal to keep your heart healthy and happy. I hope you enjoyed this event, brought to you by Araneta City and Clara Ole. Share your endless delicious possibilities with Clara Ole. Post your dishes on social media with the hashtag Dishcoveries, hashtag Araneta City, hashtag City of Firsts, and tag Clara Ole for a chance to be featured on their page. Once again, happy World Heart Day. Thank you for joining us today.